Welcome back to our weekly walkthrough, where we bring the above, below, and talk about the transits you should know. So we are on the week of July 7th through the 13th, and we're doing the late night edition because the energy has been a lot recently. We're fresh off Neptune stationing retrograde in Aries. Solidarity to anyone else whose ADHD left them in a massive fog during the stationing, like yours truly. And I am a little less than an hour and a half away from the Uranus ingress into Gemini, which is our next major ingress. This is gonna happen, like I said, less than an hour and a half, Monday. And we are looking at hopefully a more benefic version of this transit. The phenomenal astrologer Amy Green pointed out that Venus ingresses in advance of Uranus this time and next year after the retrograde back into Taurus. Why this matters is Venus is responsible for Taurus, and Venus is one of our benefics. So long term, the ingress charts actually have a more positive signature. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't going to be bad shit over the next 7 years because it's a long transit. But here's hoping that it brings a little bit of that electric, revolutionary, innovative spirit that a lot of us could use right now. So that's the major signature Monday. At 1:45 a.m. Mountain Time, Uranus and Gemini, our first taste of that for many of us in our lifetimes, because it's an 84-year transit. So it's gonna be something. Check out the Gemini area of your chart, where Venus will also be trining Pluto about an hour later at 2:43 a.m. Then we get the Sagittarius moon in the afternoon over here Mountain Time, trining Mercury and then squaring Mars shortly thereafter. So there may be you might think you have a good idea at 3 p.m. and say it, and then at 3:29 p.m. it starts a fight. So, just be a little delicate with your communication this afternoon. For Monday, we have the Eight of Chalices. And this particular version of this card, which I'm not going to flash too much because YouTube censors got mad at me for card art before, but she is sitting in her skivvies, wistfully staring off at the landscape, the ocean, and the mountain. And this feels kind of like the vibe for the week. It's like feeling exposed, feeling our nervous system come alive in a new area, and really having to process the emotions of what did we go through over the last 7 years with the previous Uranus transit? What have we learned? When Uranus was in Taurus for you, what really came through? What did you sink your roots into? Feel into this and kind of put the emotions in their place. See if you're ready to move on from them. You might not be. On Tuesday, we got the Sagittarius moon squaring Pisces North Node and trining Chiron, and that's about it. And so this gives us our Knight of Cups. We're just moving forward. And yes, if you're seeing an aura, that is still my camera screen cracked. But with that kind of dreamy energy that this wonderful defect is gifting us, think about the dreamy quality that is alive now. Reflect on all the work that you've been doing and where is it carrying you and what are you still carrying? What kind of cups do you need to wash out? Where are things stagnant and maybe even toxic? Moving into Wednesday at 2:54 a.m. Mountain Time, we get the Capricorn moon ingress. This is the start of our full moon window. This is important because this is our first Capricorn full moon that is going to be ruling Jupiter in Cancer. Now, the moon is in detriment in Capricorn. It struggles to get what it needs. It struggles to get resources. It's a little bit drier, a little bit more stuck, a little bit more prone to systems and compartmentalization and less prone to flowing. And so on Wednesday, we also have the immediate square to Saturn and Neptune, opposition with Jupiter. There is just a lot of what is the big picture right now and where are we struggling to show up for ourselves in that way? We do get the Three of Cups, though. And this is actually the card of the second decan of Cancer, where the sun is right now. So this is pulling us into that walled garden, as Austin Coppock says it. And we have the Alice in Wonderland version, which I do love. You know I'm a bunny person. But who is there with you? What kind of mystical support do you have in this? Where can you rely on faith, belief, the spiritual structures of your life or your community to really come for you now and help you to meet those needs? Jumping over onto Thursday, we of course have that full moon. And, first we have a trine with Mars at 4:10 in the morning, which is the last aspect before the full moon, which goes exact at 2:36 p.m. And then we get 20 hours of a void, of course. And we also have a void, of course, on Monday after that afternoon aspect, which is Moon Day. So the moon keeps bouncing in and out of not talking to anybody. We're kind of just in ourselves this week and really trying to process and figure it out. So if people seem a little bit more isolated, that's part of that. And just give some extra grace. Like, these are big transitions for everybody. 2025 is rough. As much grace as you've got, give it. And if you don't have it, maybe don't socialize. Like, maybe just stick with your safe people. And we have the Nine of Coins, which is very walled garden energy. This is that reflection with the full moon of what you've made, what you've been growing, what you have, and what you can do with that. Like, where is it going to take you now? What's the next level, and what do you need to get out of your way so you can get there? We move from there to Friday, and again, mostly lunar transits, and it's the Aquarius moon at 11:21 a.m., and then lots of mostly harmonious aspects with the exception of the conjunction with Pluto, which is a bit much. But on Friday, what's interesting is because Uranus, remember, is going to be immediately applying to, Venus is right there with Uranus, and they're both looking at Pluto. They're both trining Pluto. We're in air sign territory right now. And so I'm not surprised to see burn the idols come up. Like, where do we need to get really serious on Venus's day about collective action or personal action? Like, where have you held something sacred that is false? Where are the things that are not serving? What needs to come down in a real way? What needs to set off? Like, these questions are getting increasingly less metaphorical. When we move into Saturday, we're still dealing with lunar aspects. We have the moon trine Venus and then opposing Mercury in Leo before again hitting void, of course. But the big news is 10:07 p.m. Saturn stations retrograde. And these first stations of Neptune and Saturn are important. They tell us a lot about how the longer transit is going to be. Like, these first stations, feeling into what that's like right now is big. And with that, we have the Hermit reversed. And this is our scrapbook Maker's Tarot Hermit reversed. And this is about, how do we feel comfortable alone? How do we feel comfortable in this isolated sense of individualism and disenfranchisement from systems that genuinely don't care and are built to not care? How do we step out of isolation and into a more constructive solitude when necessary, or just reach out to people? Where are we cut off from the people we used to know and care about? Where are we cut off from those who taught us? Where are we cut off from our lineages? And how do we get back to them? It's a good time to review. Then we move into Sunday and we get our Pisces moon, which will square Uranus, and it could be sudden insights. But we have the High Priestess reversed, which makes me think maybe don't take it too seriously. Like, what happens on Sunday, note it, write it down, revisit it, but don't necessarily act on it yet because we may not have a clear channel. All right? Let me know what you think. It's a big week, but have a happy week.